and I've just got some questions, like, because I'm so jealous that you can just get in the car and be there in a few minutes, where I have to take planes, trains, and automobiles. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Disney with the Ducks. Today, you've got me, again, Jodie B, but I am joined by two awesome friends today. Please welcome to the show, Jason and Vern.
Hey.
Hello, guys. How we doing?
So glad that you're here with us. But before we get started, I'd just like to remind everyone, if you have a chance, please go to your podcatcher of choice and give us a 5-star review. It helps people find the show. And, with awesome quality content that we're producing, you want all your friends to find us. And also join our Facebook page, because there's a lot of great conversation going on over there and good interaction. And if you have any questions or any feedback you'd like to give, that's a place to interact with everybody. So check us out. All right. So Jason and Vern are my friends who I met, I guess, through Scotty, right? Is that how I met you?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. And the Be Our Guest podcast and the Lizards and all of the above. So we met through all those portals. And I asked them to be on the show because they have something that I would say the vast majority of us do not. They live close to the world. And I mean super close. Like, they can be like, hey, what are you doing for lunch today? You want to go to Epcot? And they can be there. Where the rest of us have to look at flights or get in a really long car ride or take the shuttle to the airport to get to the car, to get to the airport, to get to the, or all the above. So they've got a pretty unique perspective, and I just want to talk to them a little bit about it. So you two, let's start off with the obvious question. How far away do you actually live from Walt Disney World?
Okay, so if we were trying to go to the Magic Kingdom, like just parking, it would take 10 minutes?
It took me 13 minutes yesterday.
Yeah, like 13 minutes. Epcot's like 8 minutes. So around 10 to 15 minutes, give or take. So we can be there, in a second if we have to.
That's awesome. And can you see fireworks from your house in the evenings?
So we can't from looking out, but we can see it when we look out our window into our neighbor's window. Not that we're creepy.
It's gonna sound creepy, but here
it's the reflection on the window. You can see them on the reflection of the window. So I guess it's like coming from like the side of our building, and we can't exactly see past it. So not a direct fireworks view, but the reflection.
Yeah, and you can hear them very much. Like you can hear the booms and everything. But
that's pretty fun. That's awesome. All right. So why don't you guys tell us a little bit about your growing up Disney, how you're like, why in the world you'd still want to go, and living there where you do now. I know the answers to this question, but how did you decide to live in Orlando and live close to Walt Disney World? So, okay. Vern, you want to go first?
Yeah. So I actually grew up going to Disney because my mom worked at the Vero Beach Disney Resort. So I grew up down in Sebastian, Florida. She worked there. So we were in Orlando and coming to the parks all the time. So that was definitely a blessing. I was spoiled when I was little. We went so much that she said there were some weekends where we complained about going. We were like, we don't want to go to Disney anymore, which is crazy because I definitely don't have that feeling anymore. Stopped going for a little bit, or I would go like here and there once my mom stopped working for the company. And then in college, I actually went to UCF. So I was back in Orlando, and I had two of my roommates who really love Disney. They got annual passes. So I was like, let me get an annual pass too. And that's kind of what like reignited the flame, the love for Disney. Again, back during the pandemic, I moved back to Sebastian. So I didn't really go for a little bit. And then I met this guy.
This guy. So I grew up in South Florida, and we would come to Orlando, for summer vacations and things like that. Not always Disney. We did go to the Disney parks, but we would also primarily go to SeaWorld because I guess we were very much interested in SeaWorld, and my mom got, the free passes because you're a teacher. So that was always how we vacationed. So we would be in Orlando, most summers, most years. So just, growing up around Disney, watching Disney movies, having the parks there, and we could also do like day trips if we really wanted to. So that was kind of how, I grew up with Disney. And then similar to Vern, kind of, I didn't really go past middle school, high school, and college, like didn't really go. And then obviously meet Vern, and we were both kind of like, oh, you like Disney? You like Disney?
Yeah.
And then we eventually went for the first time together, obviously loved it, got annual passes shortly after that, and then eventually moved closer here.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Love it. Okay, so just out of curiosity, do you have annual passes to any of the other local parks in Orlando?
We don't.
We do not.
Just
we have
Disney.
been thinking about Universal, but mainly just to see like what Epic Universe, like what those offerings are. In a perfect world, I would love an annual pass just to Epic Universe, but I don't know if they're going to do that. So I guess we'll wait and see.
That's that topic of discussion, not an annual pass there, but that park has come up in discussion for spring break, possibly next year. So we'd have to stay on Disney property because we have DVC points. So like, yeah,
Right.
wouldn't stay over there because why spend the money up there? When we
Right.
Yeah.
It's not too bad of a drive.
It really isn't. It's not that bad.
All right. So the two of you now live super close to Walt Disney World. How often would you say during an average month you make it to the parks?
That's a great question.
Yeah, I would say it fluctuates because we have some friends that we'll go to the parks with, or Jason's mom comes up a lot to go to the parks with us. She also has an annual pass. So I say like with our, probably like on the weekends, maybe like once a month, I'd say is a pretty, average number. But then like we'll go a lot during the week. I don't know how much that is, but again, just like a casual, if we're just, wanting to go get dinner somewhere, or just even like, we'll be like, you want to go take a walk around Epcot and just take a walk. So I guess like, I don't know, on average, I'd say at least maybe like once or twice a week. So I would say we get out there, I would say at least 6 times a month.
Yeah, I would say that. And then there are definitely weeks where like Vern said, my mom will come up or our friends will want to go, and we might go like 3 or 4 times in a week. There are some times where, we might be busy with work or other things in life. So, we might not be able to go for a week or 2, but I feel like it's never more than like a week goes by before we're like scanned into a park.
Yeah, we get like the itch. We're like, okay, it's time. We got to go do something.
I know it's weird. Some people are like, ooh, I haven't been in 12 months. Like, I'm getting that itch. For us, it's like a week and a half. It's like, ooh, haven't been here in a while.
Yeah.
Do you find that you rotate to different parks, or do you typically tend to go to one park more than the others?
I think Epcot is definitely our go-to, just because, we have, well, not right now, there's no festival going on, but usually there's like a festival going on. Just like for us, again, like if we just go get dinner and go to the festival booths, it's also, I think, the most like, I guess, accessible or like easy park to like walk around.
It's very easy to park and walk in, and you're like there. The parking lot's not too bad to manage.
We don't go to Magic Kingdom too much just because we avoid the TTC at all costs.
It's ridiculous, yeah.
But yeah.
And then I feel like we go to Animal Kingdom too, just because my mom likes Animal Kingdom. And then Hollywood Studios, I feel like we go a decent amount.
Yeah.
But yeah, Magic Kingdom, it's just TTC. Like you can't get there quick enough because
we say quick enough and we're 10 minutes away.
I know.
It sounds awful.
But like when you park, take a tram, and then okay, do we take a ferry? Do we take a monorail? And like by the time you actually like scan into Magic Kingdom, it's like 40 minutes have gone by.
Yeah.
And you're like, ugh. Whereas if you park at Epcot, you can walk up to the front and be there in 5 minutes. So.
Yeah. And I would think because of Epcot, like you said, with all the festivals going on, it's kind of new every couple of months.
Right.
There's something new to see. There's new decorations out. There's new theming. There's new food. And I know when I go during a festival, I never get to all the booths that I want to because I'm like, that looks good and that looks good and that looks good. And I only have 2 days to eat it all. And you guys could be like, well, tonight we're going to just eat at these 2 booths. And then that makes me highly jealous. But I also like the intel that you're able to share with all of us because you're like, hey, I had something really great over at this booth. So that's helpful. So do you find yourself going to Disney Springs very often, or is that like too chaotic? Because I really like Disney Springs. And I know a lot of people think that it's too crowded and too crazy. I enjoy going over there. I think there's a lot of fantastic food options. I love bebopping into some of the shops. And that's a lot because I don't really enjoy shopping. So for me to like want to go someplace where it's mainly about shopping, I just like kind of cruising around and looking at everything. So do you guys make it over there very often?
Yeah, I feel like we go every so often. I think the biggest tip with Disney Springs is if you can avoid Friday night and Saturday night, because that's when like most locals are going to Disney Springs. So Vern really likes like morning Disney Springs.
I'm a morning Disney Springs girl for sure.
Yeah,
I like when it like first opens. There's no crowds. It's super empty. And I like shopping. So I enjoy Disney Springs. And again, that's also, especially in the mornings when it's not super crowded, it's also just like a nice place to like walk around, take a walk, get our steps in.
It's also great for like gift shopping, like Christmas time. You can just go to Disney Springs, find what you need. So,
and there's speaking of food, there's all sorts of food there where you can grab a little snack or a full meal or treats to bring home for later. So okay, so I'm gonna put you on the spot. If you had to have one snack from Disney Springs, what would you go get?
Ooh, that's a great question.
One
snack. Not a meal, but a snack.
Just a snack to bring back.
Or you could, I guess you could qualify whatever you want as a snack.
I feel like you really like the s'mores at the ganachery.
I do. Or just like the little chocolates from the ganachery.
Yeah.
Which is funny because I'm not really a sweets person.
Yeah.
I'm more of oh no, I changed my mind. I'm getting the mac and cheese bites from Wine Bar George.
I love those.
Those are so good.
Very good.
That's mine.
You do have to be careful though, because they can be really hot.
Yeah.
And they can really burn your tongue.
Yeah, you should definitely cut them open and let them cool off a second before you try to pop them in your mouth. Yeah, I agree with you. Scalding hot top of your mouth, burning your roof of your mouth, that's not fun.
No. Yeah, no, not fun. I think I'd go with like a cookie from Summer House.
Oh, okay.
Gideon's is good. You know, it's good. I don't know if I would wait in a long line for Gideon's, but the Summer House cookies are very good. So I think I would stop at the cookie bar, get a cookie, and then make my way out.
And that line's not nearly as long.
Yeah, no, not
they don't have peanut butter cold brew, so
they don't. That's so good.
Do you ever go to the Gideon's in Orlando proper?
Yeah, so a couple times. The one in East End Market.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've been a couple times here and there. That's actually, I mean, if you get out of the Disney bubble and you go over there, East End Market and like Winter Park is that's like our, I guess, like, I don't know, go-to area outside of where we live to go, like, explore, do things.
There's a lot of, like, foodie areas there, like, a lot of those, like, very foodie restaurant type things.
Yeah.
I did hear, though, that Gideon's does not serve the cold brew.
I don't think it does.
Because I guess they said they didn't want to take away competition from, like, the coffee places that are near them or around there. So I'm like, well, I couldn't go, though, then. Like, that's the whole reason, like, one of the reasons I love Gideon's is just
that's a good point. I didn't even think about that. They do have, like, another, because the East End Market is, like, a little, I don't know what you want to call it, like a cafeteria of different food places and booths, and they do have a coffee shop on the end, so I guess that makes sense.
Yeah. Okay, so we talked about Disney Springs a little bit. We talked about which parks you like going to. If you had your choice, let's pretend, work was not really one of those things that you had to go do. Would you go to the parks in the morning or in the evening?
I would say it depends on the park. I think that like Magic Kingdom is very much like a nighttime park. I think like, I know you said no work involved, but like just thinking like after work, like super late at night, maybe, I mean, you could, stay and watch the fireworks. That's certainly something, but you could also get a lot done during the fireworks. So I would say maybe like Magic Kingdom at night. Okay. I think the same for Epcot too. I think that's also just kind of, eating dinner and kind of, going around to the food booths. And then I would say Animal Kingdom. I mean, you can't really go at night, which kind of stinks. So I would say Animal Kingdom is more morning, and that feels more like a grab a coffee and go take a stroll around like the Jungle Treks and Gorilla Falls and stuff like that. And then Hollywood Studios, I'd say morning, I think. I don't know, just because.
Okay. Mine's kind of the opposite. I was thinking, I mean, maybe it depends a little bit on the time of year, because now during the summer it gets hot so quick that maybe nighttime is the choice.
Yeah.
But I like it in the mornings. I like, maybe not rope dropping. I'm not that much of a morning person, but I like the vibe of like getting a coffee and taking a walk around and hanging out at the parks until like, 1 or 2, because then it's too hot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Too hot and too crowded.
Yeah.
It's when it really starts to heat up, and that's when you kind of have to take that midday break.
Yeah.
So how often do you have friends or family who come in town and they're like, hey, come meet us. We're going to be at Disney World. Do you find yourself in that position where you're heading to the park to meet friends?
Yeah. So we have like a little friend group. Some of them live in Orlando or around the Orlando area. Mm-hmm. But Jason has some friends from high school that are from down south that come up to visit. So they have passes too. So we're always doing the parks with them. Just this past week, my sister and my niece and nephew came from Virginia, and we didn't do the parks with them, but we got the route. I can't talk.
Like the free water park check-in day.
So we just did like one night at Caribbean Beach, and we did the water park with them one day and just hung out at the pool the next day, which was still like fun. You still get a little bit of that magic. We got to take them on the Skyliner. We went to the boardwalk. So it was still fun to do a little bit of like Disney with them.
And then like my mom has an annual pass, so she'll text us and be like, hey, I'm thinking of coming up this day. Like, what do you guys think about that? Or like even my cousins have come to Disney recently, and they'll shoot us a text like, hey, we're going to be in Magic Kingdom this day. We're going to be in Hollywood Studios this day. Like, if you can, if you don't have anything going on, we'd love for you to join you. So it's really fun getting those kind of messages and kind of, people coming from all over just to, go to Disney, and it's nice to kind of meet them there and see them.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you have to be tour guide, or do you feel like for the most part they know what they're doing and you can just spend time with them?
I feel like it depends on the people.
I think our friends, it's not very like we have to be tour guide, but like my family or if your family comes up, I think it's definitely like, okay, you guys lead the way and, do, what should we do and all that stuff.
Got it. All right. So now you kind of touched on it a little bit, but I'm going to talk about it again. You talked about parking and how I've heard from everybody who drives and who is local, like Magic Kingdom is the worst because of the TTC. Oh, yeah. But also, since they got rid of the Magical Express, we've rented a car more than we ever used to. An I-4. I-4.
Oh, man.
Yeah, that's scary. So how do you, being local, like what's it like with the traffic? In particular, the fact that probably the vast majority of people who are heading to the parks are tourists and not local. Is that problematic for you guys? Do you feel like it's constantly on high alert, trying to make sure that people don't swerve over into your lane at the last minute?
So we are pretty lucky in the sense that we actually don't have to touch I-4 when we go to the parks.
Yes, thank God.
We pass over it, and every time we pass over it, we're like, ooh, that doesn't look too good. They did just open up some roads that were supposed to like help the flow a little bit. I think it has a bit. But yeah, I think that's like a big issue right now is just this past week, there was like a huge accident, like a semi truck flipped and all the traffic was stopped. And I heard from a lot of like cast members that just had to drive back home, and it took them hours and hours just to get home. Mm-hmm. I think that's just a big problem with Orlando in general, is not having another highway like I-4. We try to avoid I-4 at all costs. Like I'll take 417 and the Turnpike if I have to go to like Winter Park to like avoid it. it's not a fun road.
Yeah, we try and avoid it when we can. But even on like Disney property, you still have to kind of keep your head on a swivel because like exits come up very quickly, and you'll see cars that, you know, non-Florida license plates, you know, they're tourists, you know, they're coming out and they're very much freaking out that they're going to miss their exit or go a wrong way or whatever. So you might get somebody that comes from like 2 or 3 lanes next to you and kind of tries to cut you off to make that exit. So I think you do need to keep your head on a swivel if you do rent a car, if you're driving down here. But I'm just very glad we don't have to deal with like I-4 traffic going to Disney, because that would put a damper on something.
Or just on the daily in general. Luckily, we both work from home as well, so we don't have to do any commuting in I-4. It's just when it's like completely necessary.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, because that I can't imagine. I would think it would also be hard as a cast member. You know, if you were supposed to be getting to work and the traffic was just horrendous. Like, what do you do? I mean, I guess you show up when you show up, but gosh, that's got to be problematic. You were talking about people who, you know, take the wrong exit. One of the tips that I gave our daughter when she first started driving, I said, if you miss an exit or if you make a mistake, commit to the mistake. You could always turn around later, but just like keep going. Don't try to overcompensate. Like, commit to the mistake, regroup. Your Waze will tell you how, reroute you. It's not like it's back in the day where it was a paper map. You know, you don't have to freak out.
Yes.
You're not going to be, you may add 5 minutes or 10 minutes to your time, but don't overreact. Commit to the mistake and just stick with it, because you're going to cause a lot more problems if you don't. So
that's good advice.
Way better to just take more time and be more safe than try and cut off like 5 cars and everyone has to stop short. Then traffic builds up and just causing chaos just because you missed an exit.
So one of the things that you just mentioned is that you recently stayed on property. And I know that you've also done that in the past. Was it one of your birthdays you stayed at the Poly Tower?
That was our first anniversary.
Yeah. Oh, your anniversary. Well, anniversary, belated. So how often do you stay on property, and what's that like being local?
So I think we did it a lot. I think we did it more when we stayed down, or like when we lived down south.
When we live in Sebastian, I think we stayed more. But now I feel like because we're here, it's not as often. But we still do like staycations every now and then, just to, you know, get to stay on Disney property. We have started a tradition during Christmas time to staying at Fort Wilderness. So hoping we can, you know, continue that every year.
Yeah.
But I think since we moved up here, we haven't stayed on property as much.
Yeah.
I've never stayed at Fort Wilderness.
Oh, come on, you gotta stay at Fort
Wilderness. I know.
Not during Christmas time. We'll do looping around. We'll see all the Christmas lights. It'll change your life.
It's a different vibe, but it's a lot of fun.
You know, here's I'm ridiculous. I love doing laundry on vacation. I love, like, in particular in Florida, where you're so sweaty and gross by the end of the day. And like, I just like being like, and you're getting washed, and you're getting washed, and you're getting washed. And I just don't love the fact that I'm spending all that money on DVC property and it doesn't have a washer and dryer. I know that's dumb. I need to.
But it makes sense.
Yeah, no, I totally get that.
But we've got to try it. And my husband hates camping. I mean, can't stand it. So I think I would have to be like, it's not camping, honey. Like, you have your own, you know, it is a cabin.
If you're in a cabin, it's air conditioning, there's electricity. It's a room, you know?
Yes, air conditioning is key. You guys, we're heading to France at the end of the month, and we're going to Disneyland Paris. And do you know how many places do not have air conditioning in France? Like, all of them. And do you know that some of the Disneyland Paris hotels do not have air conditioning?
Are you serious? That's crazy.
2 of them that I know of do not have air conditioning.
Oh my gosh.
That would be, I'd walk in and be like, no, I'm sorry. I don't care how much like, put me in that, I would pay my left arm to go check into a room that has air conditioning. Like, no, I can't. Yeah. So maybe like the Cheyenne or something, and I don't know. I shouldn't say the names of them because I'm probably going to say the wrong ones, but obviously the highest ones, you know, like
they have
and Hotel and the Art of Marvel and all that has air conditioning. But I did make sure, I was like, okay, I need to make sure that the hotel that we're staying at in Disneyland has air conditioning because that won't work at all.
That would have been something I never thought of either. So
my
good
God.
to know for future reference.
I would have 100% like booked something and then like learned that like a week before we went. Like, ooh, there's no AC here.
Yeah, I love to listen. I'm a podcast girl. I know a lot of people like YouTube, but because I run and walk the dog, I'm constantly listening to things, and then I like to watch YouTube videos, but sometimes I'm not just in a place where I can watch. So I like to listen to a lot. So before trips, I download 1,000,001 podcasts on that subject. So before we went to Alani, I listened to 8,000 Alani podcasts. Before we've gone to Disneyland Paris, I've listened to 8 million Disneyland Paris podcasts. And this couple from the States, now they were there in like, I don't know, not like March or April, so it wasn't too terribly hot yet, but they're like, they had to crack their window, and I'm like, no, nope. I would die. So, all right. So if you were gifted a room at Walt Disney, I'm getting back to my original question that I started asking you like 10 minutes ago. If you were gifted a room at Walt Disney World for let's call it 2 nights, because one night, you barely put your foot in the water. So if you were gifted a room at Walt Disney World for 2 nights, being local, where would you want those 2 nights stay?
I know exactly what you're gonna say.
Because I don't know. I have to think. So actually, funny enough, a couple months ago, right after we stayed at the Poly Tower, Jason being a numbers guy, we did this whole rating system on hotels that we've stayed at so far. So we rated it by like the food choices, the pools, the just atmosphere, the rooms, all that stuff. And my top was the Poly Tower. I really love the Poly Tower. And I don't know if it was just because it was like so freshly, like we had just stayed there. But even now I'm itching to go back. Like I can't wait until we can do that again. Mostly because when we did go, it was 40 degrees in Florida and raining. So where it was still so much fun, I would like to go when it's just, feels a little bit more tropical, feels more to theme, like temperature-wise.
Yeah, it was like, what, 40 degrees? Yeah, it didn't feel very tropical. It was awesome, though.
So, so maybe right now, like if I had to pick, I'd probably do a Poly Tower again. Yep. Was that what you were going to say?
Oh, yeah. Oh. I mean, when you think of those views, it's easily the best like theme park view, like Magic Kingdom theme park view on that monorail, in my opinion. Yeah. We stayed at Bay Lake Tower theme park view, and that was awesome. But just to be able to see, because from our room, we could obviously see all of Magic Kingdom, all of the Contemporary. We could see Epcot fireworks in the distance. So just that like grand view was just unbelievable.
Yeah.
I think I'll pick a different one.
Would you pick that?
I think I would.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
But if just to be different, I think if I had to pick a room, I would want to go with one of those rooms that overlooks the boardwalk, because the boardwalk at night, especially on the weekend, it's very lively. They have magicians, jugglers, entertainers. Everyone's out on the boardwalk.
No ESPN zone.
Yeah, no ESPN zone. Rest in peace.
And no jelly rolls anymore.
I know,
no jelly rolls.
Some sadness happening over there.
I guess it'd be less, lively now. Yeah. But that would be the room I pick, because I feel like just sitting on that balcony and sort of just that atmosphere would be awesome. You could do Epcot fireworks too.
You could.
So
I was gonna say, if I didn't do the Poly Tower, and maybe in like a month or so when the pool's back open, I would do Beach or Yacht.
Yeah.
Because we have stayed at Yacht. We stayed there our wedding weekend. But because we were there our wedding weekend, we were just doing so much with like the wedding and guests that we didn't really get to like experience the hotel as much as we wanted to.
And it was also 50 degrees again.
Yeah.
So
but I think when we stay at resorts, just because we are more local, we really try to like enjoy the resorts. I always say that I'm more of a resorts person than a parks person. Yeah. I love both, but the resort stays are my favorite. I love exploring the resorts. So I think that I would also go back and do that, like once the pool's open again, because I want to go to Stormalong Bay.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a big thing. Like, I know obviously you would have to get on a plane, come down here. Like, I know you'd want to, you know, at least go into the parks and sort of experience that. But resort only stays are fun. Just being able to fully explore the resort, take advantage of all the amenities, especially if you're staying at like a moderate or deluxe. It's a really fun time. So I again, I know, you know, having to get here via plane or whatever, and you know, it's a lot more expensive than us just kind of driving down the road. But if you can swing a resort only stay, I would recommend it.
Are there any resorts that you have not stayed at that you're dying to?
So we haven't done
Old Key West.
Old Key West. We haven't done Wilderness Lodge.
That's, I think, my next like new one that I would want to do.
Okay. We also haven't done.
What else haven't we done?
I mean, I guess technically Beach Club because we did Yacht Club,
Yeah, or like the variations of All Stars and Art of Animation.
Yeah, we haven't done Art of Animation yet. Is that it?
Grand Floridian.
Oh, Grand Floridian. We've never stayed at Grand Floridian.
Grand Floridian. Yeah.
But I think that might be it. And then like the contemporary, like the main building, because we've done
if you got like variations and stuff.
But yeah, I think that's it. We've stayed at almost all of them.
I think Wilderness Lodge though would be the next like new one that I'd want to stay at.
Okay.
I love Wilderness Lodge, well, in particular in the Christmas time. And I would think you all living in Florida where everything is hot and, you know, tropical, going to Wilderness Lodge is such a different feeling than what you have every day. Because you look out your window and see a palm tree, you know, so, like going to Caribbean Beach is great, but it's like, well, that's not that different than what I have every day. But going to Wilderness Lodge is a really different feel, I'm sure, for the two of you.
Yeah, that's the kind of how I feel about Old Key West. Like, I know people are very much fans of Old Key West. Scott, big fan of Old Key West, but like just the theme of Old Key West, like that was like every restaurant you would go to growing up in South Florida was like that theme. So it's not like a new thing. It's something very, you know, familiar, the palm trees, the colors and all that stuff. So I think that's why it's not as high up like on my list personally.
Okay. Do you have a favorite resort?
We own the Riviera, and I love the Riviera.
I also love the Riv.
One of the things I love the most about it is that it's self-contained. So if it rains, I don't have to run to try to go get a cup of coffee or food, or, you know, I'm enclosed, which I know sounds like a really weird reason to love a resort, but we were in the tower at Coronado one race weekend. It was it was wine and dine race weekend, and it poured like nobody's business. Like, I mean, cats, dogs, cousins came out of the sky, and it rained all day without a stop. And it was just nice to be in the Coronado Tower because there were food options and you could get places and you could go to a bar, you could go to a restaurant, you could have all that stuff. And that's kind of the reason why I like the Riviera, because it's that same feel. Like, you don't, if something happens weather-wise, you're not, you know, if you think about it, some of the resorts, like the Polynesian's a great example. If you're at one of the buildings in the Polynesian and it's pouring rain, to get to the grand ceremony, you know, the main room at this Polynesian, Cheezel Pete's, I can't talk today. You have to, like, you know, you're going to get drenched. I mean, no matter what. And your feet are going to get wet because it's all the puddles and everything. So, and my son is a big slides person. Like, he loves the slide. We have to rank. So you were talking about things that you rank.
That was in our ranking.
We did rank the slides. Yeah.
Okay, so we have pools and slides. So although I think the Riviera's pool could be better, whatever reason, that slide, we go shooting out. Like, it was
a good slide.
That's one of my favorite slides. I also just love the view on that slide. You see like the skyliner, the lake out there. It's nice.
Yeah. So,
and funny enough, you were just mentioning the Polynesian. When we stayed at the Island Tower, like we said, it was cold, a little bit rainy. There's no cover to go from the Island Tower to the Great Ceremonial House. So if we got like Captain Cook's, like we wanted to eat in the room or something, I had to go out, and it's 50 degrees, lightly rain. And then it's like also a wind tunnel with the water right there. So it was pretty miserable walk. So
Mhm.
yeah, I totally feel you on that like enclosed sort of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, but my second favorite is I'm a Wilderness Lodge girl. I just love it there. I love the smell. I know that's so strange, but I love the
No,
smell.
we love the
No, I
smells of
feel
the
that.
hotels.
I love the coziness to it. I love the food options. I just love everything about it. So those are mine. Now, if there was a resort that you know, didn't necessarily want to go back to,
Ooh.
what would that be?
Go back to.
That's a good one. I mean, I don't want to say like the all stars just because it's a value and that's kind of what you
I feel like,
get.
but I feel like nowadays being local, we probably wouldn't go back to like stay at Pop or the All Stars just
Yeah.
because, amenities wise, we're not gonna. I don't know. I guess it's like equal to like the pool at Pop Century is probably just as fine as the one at our apartment complex. Like
Yeah, like no slides or anything
yeah,
other than
so
the theming. Yeah.
I don't think we'd stay there.
It probably
being
would be the
locals.
values, yeah, because they're very much rooms that you would throw your stuff in and let's go
Yeah.
explore. So yeah, I guess I would say the values.
Okay. Do you have like a least favorite though? Like if you couldn't pick a value?
I don't think I could. The
Okay.
moderates and deluxes are just so good.
I really think they need to build another moderate. I
They
just,
really do.
I mean, I just think that that's such a nice sweet spot between sometimes the deluxes, you look at the price of them and you're like, are you kidding me? I'm not spending that for one night. Like that's the cost of my entire vacation.
Yeah.
But then the values, they serve a purpose. And if you're going to be hitting the parks hard, they're great. Go stay. I mean, and the transportation still included. You get all the amenities, but the price is much lower. But I think that moderate gives you a little, gives you the slide. It gives you a little nicer pool. Sometimes it gives you different choices of restaurants. I just, I think they need to build another one, but they're not asking me.
I'm moderate, so
yeah.
All right. So what is your hidden gem that you each love? Could be a place in the park or it could be a restaurant. Like what as a local do you think is your hidden gem that not a lot of people know about or like something that you don't think that it's very well known, but as a local you get to do or you know about?
I got one.
Okay, you go first.
We need to sell you on Fort Wilderness. So I'm gonna say Trails End. The food is similar, if not the same, as Hoop-de-Doo, which is right, next to it. Great fried chicken, cornbread, mac and cheese. It's very good. And then you can kind of walk around Pioneer Hall, sort of enjoy that ambiance. And it's really, if you're not staying there, you can just take a boat over from the Magic Kingdom and you're right there. So I think to me that would be my hidden gem, and I'm trying to sell Jodie.
Listen, I've got to get to all the resorts anyway. So
you have the list.
Have you guys done
my husband? Pardon me?
Have you guys done Hoop-de-Doo?
Oh yeah, we love love
yeah.
Hoop-de-Doo.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you can get all the same food. You can get fried chicken. You can get a strawberry shortcake. You get mac and cheese.
But you don't get unlimited alcohol.
You don't get unlimited alcohol. Nor do you get unlimited
When
food.
I have half a glass of wine and my waitress brings me a whole other glass of wine, I'm a happy gal.
Sometimes I'm like, I thought I took a sip of that. It's like automatically refilling. Like, is this magic?
I fill up one little thing of beer and they just run over like, oh, here you go. Here's more. I'm like, oh, okay, sure.
Great. That was a good one. Just like Fort Wilderness, just because I don't think, people don't come to Disney, or I guess I shouldn't say some people do come to Disney to stay at the campground, but a lot of people don't. So I think Fort Wilderness does get overlooked. Besides that,
Do you have any other hidden gems?
I don't know. I can't think of one in my head. I'm sure I do. I'm sure we'll hang up this phone call and I'll have like a million.
Like, oh, I got it.
I'm going to share a hidden gem that you actually taught me, which I think is probably the coolest thing, and I've never seen it done before, and that's the picture that you took.
Oh, our Epcot pic.
I mean, why don't you tell everyone what your occupation is? Because I think this puts it a little bit into a perspective. But
well, I'm a photographer. I mostly do weddings. But yeah, what Jodie's talking about is anytime we go to Epcot, we take Spaceship Earth, the I guess base of it is all mirrors. And that's always like our go-to. We take a picture at Epcot almost every single time. I think we've only missed it a couple times, just like a quick mirror pic.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's just our little.
Yeah, that's the first thing we do. I mean, the entry's right there. We'll walk right there, take our selfie, and then go on our day. So,
that to me was just such a great tip. I never would have thought to have done that. And I'm like, that's so brilliant. Like it's right here. And I don't know. I thought it was great. So, I mean, I guess you don't have to be local to know that, but I feel like
this is a hidden gem. Yeah. And honestly, that little area is cool because it's like a little wind tunnel and it kind of keeps it cool. And you know, you could get some like flowing hair for your picture. I don't know anything about that. I'm bald.
So. Or sometimes you could be whipped with rain in that picture too. Sometimes the way the rain comes through there, it's like, whoa, what did I just walk into? So
yeah.
But then again, it's like a memory. You'd be like, oh, remember the time we were getting out?
Yeah. Okay, so what about Disney merch? And I kind of already know the answer to this too, but I would find it really hard to be that close to the Disney parks and not give them my entire paycheck and be like, oh yeah, I love that. And I love that. And I love that. Now we are lucky enough here in Cincinnati. We actually have a Disney outlet, like a Disney store outlet.
I didn't know
so it's not terribly close to me. It's about 45 minutes north of the city. But when my son has a soccer tournament that direction, I'm like, oh, I'm going to stop in and see what they have. Because you just never know what's in there. Oddly enough, we get a lot of Disneyland merchandise, which I don't understand. Like, why are you shipping it from California to Ohio? That doesn't make sense to me. But sometimes we get pins, and I love going there and getting pins on clearance for like $2 or $3 because then I'll buy a bunch of them and my son can trade those because then I feel like we're putting good pins back into circulation, which is, you know, anyway, I'm not going to get into a thing on that. But what about Disney merch? Is there anything that you guys collect or that you love or that, you know, like Jason right now, I see that you have on a Disney Cruise Line hat.
The cruise line hat. Oh, yeah.
Cruise line is amazing, but is there any merch that you both love?
Yeah, so we've definitely got sucked into the mystery pin. I think you know that because you were looking for the ones at Flower and Garden for us.
Because we texted you saying, hey, you know, we know you're there. So if you happen to see the mystery pins, can you just, you know, shoot us a pic and we'll run over there.
Yeah, we did in fact complete that set. So we're very happy. So yeah, we have, I won't say we do all the mystery pins.
Yeah.
We do have a little bit of self-control.
Yeah.
But yeah, we do collect pins.
My rule with mystery pins is I'm a very big fan of Orange Bird, the character. So that's the first thing I look at for like new mystery pin sets is, okay, is Orange Bird involved? If not, I have to see like 3 or 4, because you can see the pins like on the side, like what you could possibly get. If I see like 3 or 4 that I really like, then I would go for it. But other than that, I'll just, you know, I'd pass on it.
Yeah. And we do have a rule just so, you know, all of our paychecks don't go towards Disney and Disney merch. Is if we really like something, we have to see it 3 times before we buy it.
Yep.
And that's kind of like our green light, like, oh, it's our 3rd time. Like we still like it. Like we can get it.
Yeah.
But if it's like, you know, not meant to be, or, you know, maybe by the 2nd time we're like, oh, maybe I didn't like this as much as I thought like the 1st time.
Yeah.
I think that's a good rule because we don't spend all our money.
Yeah. And I think if you are like a vacationer, like you're not down here and can be in the parks that often, I would change that rule to like, if you see it at the beginning of the day, maybe wait till the end of the day. Or if you're going to, let's say, Epcot twice in your trip, maybe wait till the 2nd time, see it again, you know, fresh perspective, and then, you know, make that call, because if you don't, yeah, your paycheck's going to get surrendered very quickly.
Yeah.
So,
especially with all the people here, a lot of the locals are very like, at least for me, what I see on like my social media is everybody's like finding the new thing at Disney and it gets sold out in like 2 seconds now, whether it be a sweatshirt or a popcorn bucket.
Yeah.
So like sometimes you get a little wrapped up in that and you're like, oh great, I like that, but I know it's gonna like sell out in 2 seconds. So
yeah,
that can be a little annoying, but
so there are exceptions to the rule of 3, but for the most part, that's kind of what we stick to.
Okay, so I have a question about the mystery pin sets because my son did a mystery pin set. He did the DuckTales one because he loves DuckTales.
Yeah.
And of course, we weren't there for an extended period of time. So we bought as many as we could, and then we couldn't find them some places. And we were like the pin trading spot in Disney Springs. I was like, okay, I'm not going to let you buy like 10 while we're here. But what do you do when you get a repeat?
We usually just put those up as traders.
Yeah.
And we'll just put them on pin boards or we've gone to the people like the I don't know what you want to call them, like the pin traders, like the people with the books.
Yeah, like there are local.
I heard they got moved locations.
They did. They moved from Spaceship Earth to the middle, like Communicore area. I assume it's just because they don't want a bunch of people hanging out underneath Spaceship Earth,
Yeah.
But
we have got some good trades with them.
Yeah. They're friendly if you come up, ask them,
It was a little nerve-wracking at first because you think they're going to like say no because they're not like a cast member.
Yeah.
They have to say yes. Although I did get turned down at a pin board
yesterday. She got turned down yesterday by a cast member.
I guess I didn't know this was a rule, but I guess if there's the pin already on the board, you can't put that pin, like it can't be a double pin on a board.
Yeah.
And I guess I did that yesterday. I had no idea. I guess I just never did it before.
I never assumed.
Yeah. So that happened yesterday. But
yeah, repeats, we either use them as traders. So that kind of gives you a little bit of, okay, now I can, pay more attention to pin boards. Or if it's a repeat and, one of our friends we know likes the character or whoever it is, we may give it to them as like a gift.
Yeah.
Or, give my mom something if it's like Mickey or Minnie. I know she likes Mickey or Minnie. So we'll just, I'll give that to my mom.
Where do you find some of the, I'm totally going off on a pin trading tangent. Where do you find some of the better pin trading opportunities in the parks or at the resorts, or where do you find some of the, because I would say we've been a little frustrated as lately that there's a lot of scrappers on the board.
Yeah.
That people don't know and they're doing it for fun. But, and I don't want to call my son a serious pin trader, but I do like I said, I go to the outlets and buy the good pins and try to put the good pins back in circulation. And so then it's hard when we trade for one and then it turns out not to be legit. And where have you found that the good trading happens?
So I think definitely the people just like with the books trading.
Yeah, of course they're gonna be
in Epcot or Hollywood
of real and fake ones.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. Like so at Epcot and then at Hollywood Studios they meet kind of by like, well, what is that building? Is that guest services that like when you first walk into Hollywood Studios to the left?
Oh, yeah, what is that? It's like that I don't even know that.
It's just
like
house
looking.
Yeah,
structure.
it's like
a guest services. Yeah.
Cabin.
But I know they sometimes will pin trade in there as well.
Yeah.
I think that's probably your best bet for like real pins, or if you're trying to like look for a specific pin or complete a set. I know obviously like the boards around Disney aren't as great.
Yeah, they're very hit or miss.
Yeah, hit or miss. I know the cast members will have, some have their lanyards or their little pocket things. And I know some of them that will do trivia questions. I don't know how you find that out.
Yeah.
But some of them will just have like a trivia question for you and they'll have like special pins, which I think are more, I don't know, longed for pins. What's the word I'm looking for?
Yeah, like more sought after pins.
Yeah. So I think like even doing those kind of trades are better to get more quality pins.
Yeah.
I do wish, I guess we kind of have this thing where if we see a pin we like it, it's fine if it's real or fake. However, I feel like it's kind of getting a little offhand with some of those pins.
Yeah.
We saw like a plastic mushroom on a board yesterday.
Yeah,
not even a Disney pin.
Yeah.
So, but I do wish, I don't know if they do this in Disneyland in California, but I do know at the international parks, they do look at the pins and like cast members have to know how to like, verify or like vet like fake pins.
I almost wish they would have almost like a chip or a code in them that you can scan that, because I look at the back of them and they're like, oh, it has to have this to show if it's real or not. And I'm like, I don't know. It looks real, but I don't. Like, I'm not, when someone's like, oh, it's the thickness. I'm like, well, I'm not walking around with a ruler. I don't know.
Right.
You know, it's so I wish they could do something to make some sort of, you know, code, you know, but I'm sure the scammers would figure out how to do that too. But anyway, I didn't mean to get off on a pin.
It's okay.
We enjoy pin trading, and I just sometimes it's hard when, you know, you're spending good money on a good pin, and there's not a lot and I guess you don't have to trade, so that's, you know, that's the part of it. But anyway, okay, so just a couple of other things that I want to talk to you about. Do you feel like you ever get Disney fatigue?
I don't think in general. I think sometimes we'll do, like, sometimes we have gone to Epcot a little too much and I'm like, okay, we need to take a break. Like, I'm kind of getting bored.
Yeah.
I don't know if I have with any of the other parks or things. But I think there's just so much to do here. Again, when you are local, when it's just like a more casual, like, let's just go do this tonight or whatever. There just is so much to do. Like, it's never ending.
Yeah.
We can always think of something or come up with something new. So I don't think we get, maybe if we were, again, the Epcot thing. But other than that, I don't think in general, like, we could always just find something new to do.
Yeah. I don't think we get like theme park fatigue or anything like that. We may do a day where it's a lot more like ride heavy and, you know, walking around and all that stuff. And then, you know, that might take a lot out of us and we might, you know, not do a day like that in a couple weeks. And we may just go back to more like relaxed, you know, stroll around the park, one ride, go home. Mm-hmm. So other than that, I don't think we really get like fatigue because there really is just so much you can do. And
listen,
if you really...
I just sit and people watch for hours.
Yeah.
Like, I don't have to do anything. Tim one time was on a conference call, marathon weekend, and I just sat on a bench at Epcot and watched people for probably 2 hours. I'm like, this has been the best 2 hours of my, like, you see all sorts of humanity at that time frame.
Yeah, like go upstairs, Magic Kingdom, Pinocchio Village House, like that upstairs seating, and you could sit there and just watch people for an hours, and you know, you're totally fine.
I think we also get like new stuff that pops up here and there.
Yeah.
And that's always like a new, you know, fun thing. Like if it's like a new, I don't know, like a new snack.
Yeah,
to
like new
try,
snacks.
Again, we have the new festivals at Epcot, but anything like new that pops up, we can just like pop in and go check it out.
Yeah, we could go like check out the new merch, see if it looks cool, grab a snack, relax for a second, and then pop out. You know, that could be our day. What
are you guys most excited about this summer? Things coming to the park this summer? Because there are a couple of big new things happening.
Yeah, I'm most excited for the nighttime parade. That was my favorite as a kid. That is where I always joke. That's like where my photography love started, because I have this photo album of just pictures of like the nighttime parade, and it's a small world. So I'm just excited for that again. I can't wait.
Yeah.
When does that start?
July 20th is first, and we have reservations for that day. We'll see if we go.
Yeah, I don't know if I want to deal with the craziness.
Yeah, I'm a little nervous for like crowd wise. If they announce 2 shows, I think, you know, we could think about it. Okay. But yeah, no, I'm definitely excited for the parade. I think that's what I'm most excited for. I'm also excited for Test Track opening again. I think that's going to be really fun. I'm excited to see like the World of Motion, like callbacks. And just having Test Track open again will be fun. So yeah, no, it's gonna be a fun summer.
And then all the construction will start with all. Well, I mean, I guess it's already started, but all the new additions and changes, and there's a lot in the next couple of years.
Going on.
We have to say goodbye to Tom Sawyer.
Oh yeah, we do have to do that.
Yeah. So I asked about Disney fatigue, but are there any Disney bucket list items, not necessarily Disney World, but I guess it could be. But do you have any Disney general bucket list items that are on your list that you would like to accomplish as a fan of the product?
I think
Tokyo Disney.
Yeah, I think that's number 1 for us. We want to do Tokyo.
Did you guys? It just dropped yesterday, but Lonnie's trip report from Tokyo Disneyland.
Oh no, we have to go listen in.
Yes.
One day, and it happened to be Donald Duck's birthday. It's a great trip report. Like it's so interesting to me. Like I find it so incredibly interesting. Like I was always like, I don't know. But now after listening to him, I'm like, I gotta go.
Oh my gosh, that's
I know
crazy.
that would get me. I'd be Googling like Tokyo Disney. Like, all right, let's make this happen.
Yeah.
But I think that's our number one on our bucket list.
I think that's number one. I've always wanted to do a Disneyland, then Alani, or like vice versa, like go to Alani and then Disneyland.
Yeah.
Like just like a West Coast Hawaii kind of trip. I think that would be really fun.
Mm-hmm. I want to go on the Disney Treasure.
I also want to. That was my next one. I was going to say the Treasures.
I mean, if it's theme park, for the theme park fans, like that's me.
Yeah.
I think that one for Disney park fans is really high on everyone's list.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Pretty exciting. All right. Well, if you had any advice for someone who was going to move down to the greater Orlando area, who is a fan of the parks, what would you give them?
Well, actually, I think going back to the traffic, I think I would tell them to avoid anywhere like west of Disney on I-4.
Yeah, like southwest.
Which is unfortunate because that's like, Davenport, Champions Gate. You find a lot more affordable housing down there. So that's like the downside is you do get, cheaper mortgages and rents.
Mm-hmm.
However, I don't know if the traffic is worth it. So I would say go north. I would go like northwest of Disney, like Winter Garden area, Horizon West.
Yeah. I would definitely keep traffic in mind.
Yeah, definitely keep traffic in mind.
Like see if you can see if like, and even just your daily life too. Like if you have to go to grocery store, doctor's appointment, or if you're commuting for work, I would try and limit like I-4 and 192 time on those roads, because those are going to be the roads that get the most congested when it comes to like, work traffic and things like that.
Yeah. But I guess a lighter piece of advice is just have fun and enjoy it.
Have fun.
Because it is a great time.
It is. We're very blessed that we can just kind of go pop in for dinner and pop out and be home and, be with our cats and our own bed and everything. Just have fun with it. Take it slow. Most people, when they get their pass and they're, localish for the first time, I feel like are like, go, go, go. We're going to go everywhere. We're going to ride every ride in Magic Kingdom and all that stuff. I would say just take it slow, get used to popping in and popping out of, popping in and popping out of parks, just doing dinner, and really just explore Walt Disney World, because there's just so much to offer there, restaurants, shops, whatever. So that would be my advice. Also, you're not going to get used to the heat and the sun. It's just going to be a thing.
No.
You're just going
to embrace it.
You're going to sweat. There's going to be days you're going to be miserable. That's just life down here.
Yep.
Yeah. Yep. Well, thank you both for joining us. It's been awesome to hear about what it's like living locally. I mean, I just think it's so fun that you could just get in your car and be like, hey, I'm going to go have a cheeseburger pod tonight for dinner at Animal Kingdom. Or, wow, I really feel like hanging out at Baseline Tap House for an hour or so. Or maybe I'm going to take my laptop and sit at Epcot in that new outdoor park area and do some work for an hour or so. Like, that would be incredible. I would love that. That's amazing. But I appreciate you both. If people want to follow you, I know you're both pretty active on the Discord for the BOGP Discord. I tend to be on it and then not on it, and then on it and not on it.
That's me too.
What happens is I get sucked into it, and then I'm like, I have to work. Like I have to.
Yeah.
So I've turned my notifications off for it because I was getting myself into a little bit of trouble.
Yeah.
But if anyone would like to follow you and what it's like to live down in the greater Orlando area, where can they follow you?
So mine, well, I guess it's like both of ours. It's our little like Disney account. That's at Magic Carpet Guide. So like a magic carpet ride, but Magic Carpet Guides. So that's mine on Instagram and TikTok.
Yeah. I do college football stuff. So if you enjoy college football, CFB numbers on Twitter. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Well, I've got 2 men in my house that are obsessed with college football. So
There you go.
it was a good year for them last year. So they were pretty happy. Well, I love both your content. I follow Magic Carpet Guides, and I don't know how to do anything with Instagram, but I know how to follow people and see all their stuff. So that's always fun. I love following along. I just don't know how to create anything on Instagram. I haven't taken the time to figure it out. So thank you both for joining me. And I love getting to hear about what it's like to live right there. I mean, I just think that's so unique and so different. And also personal thanks. Thanks for meeting me when I'm down in the parks to come say hi. Cause that's just so fun to see friends and spend a little time with people. I know last time was pretty rushed because my daughter was dragging me everywhere.
That's okay. Everywhere. She had plans.
That girl had some big plans. So, but I can't wait to see you guys I guess we'll see you a little bit during Wine and Dine race weekend.
Yeah, we'll meet up. We'll meet up during Wine and Dine.
And definitely marathon weekend.
Yes, you're gonna drag me across the half marathon finish line. So
listen, it's just forward as a pace. You just put one foot in front of the other. No one's out there to break any records. We're all out there for fun. So that's if you're not having fun during a Disney race, in my humble opinion, you're doing it wrong.
Yeah,
so,
I agree.
It's too much money and too much, fun things to do to go out there and just sprint through it. But that's my take on it. I train really hard so I can go goof off during those races.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate you. Again, everybody, if you have any questions about living locally, I'm sure you could respond when this episode drops on our Facebook page. I'm sure Vern and Jason would be happy to answer it. But one of these days, I don't know, you may have more neighbors who are local.
There we go. Let's go, Jody. Let's go.
All right. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate you.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you so much for having us.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
We normally end the show with a dad joke, but for the 900th time, I haven't prepared one.